Have you ever looked at your workload and thought, wait a minute, this isn't what I was hired to do? Maybe you started in one role, but now you're handling responsibilities from 2, 3, or even 4 different positions. You're helping with projects, supporting other departments, solving problems that have nothing to do with your original job description. And yet your title hasn't changed. Your compensation hasn't changed. And nobody ever officially discussed this expansion of your role. If that sounds familiar, you may be experiencing something called scope creep. And today we're going to discuss how scope creep happens, why it targets high performers, and how to protect yourself before your workload quietly doubles without your salary doing the same. Section 1. What scope creep actually looks like. Most people think workplace exploitation is obvious, but scope creep rarely arrives with a formal announcement. Nobody calls you into a meeting and says, "We'd like you to do 40% more work for the same pay." Instead, it happens gradually. One request at a time. One favor at a time. One temporary assignment at a time. The first request feels reasonable. The second feels manageable. The third feels helpful. Then 6 months later, you're doing work that has almost nothing to do with the role you originally accepted. That's the danger of scope creep. It's gradual enough that most people don't notice it until they're overwhelmed. Section 2. Why high performers are most at risk. One of the biggest workplace ironies is this. The better you are at your job, the more likely you are to experience scope creep.
Why?
Because managers trust reliable people. When something needs to be done, they naturally turn to the employee who delivers. The employee who doesn't complain. The employee who always says yes. At first, this feels like recognition. And sometimes it is. But without boundaries, recognition can slowly become dependency. The reward for being dependable becomes more work. And eventually, you're carrying responsibilities that should belong to multiple people. Section 3. The difference between growth and exploitation. This is where many professionals become confused. Because not all additional responsibilities are bad. Career growth often requires taking on new challenges. The key question is the growth reciprocal? Healthy growth looks like this. You gain new responsibilities. You gain new visibility. You gain new opportunities. You gain new compensation. You gain new career progression. Exploitation looks different. You gain new responsibilities, but everything else stays exactly the same. Same title. Same authority.
Same salary.
That's not growth. That's workload expansion. And professionals need to understand the difference. Section 4. The warning signs of scope creep. Let's talk about some common warning signs. You're regularly performing work outside your job description. Temporary assignments never seem to end. Multiple departments depend on you. You're solving problems that belong to entirely different functions. Your workload keeps growing, but your role never gets reviewed. And perhaps the biggest warning sign of all, people automatically assume you'll handle something before they've even asked. When that starts happening, scope creep may already be well established. Section 5. Why most professionals allow it to continue. The answer is simple.
Fear.
People worry about looking difficult. They worry about damaging relationships. They worry about losing opportunities. So they keep accepting additional responsibilities without questioning them. The problem is that workplaces often interpret silence as agreement. If you never challenge the expansion of your role, many organizations assume you're comfortable with it. Not because they're malicious, because nobody has raised the issue. Section 6. The scope creep deflection framework. When new responsibilities appear, avoid automatic yes. Instead, ask questions. First, seek clarification.
Ask.
How does this fit within my current responsibilities and priorities? This encourages intentional discussion. Second, create visibility. Explain what you're already managing. Many leaders simply don't have a complete picture of your workload. Third, request prioritization. This is the most powerful step.
Ask.
If this becomes a priority, which existing responsibility should be deprioritized? That single question changes the conversation. Because now management must make a resource allocation decision, instead of quietly placing the burden entirely on you. Section 7. The role review conversation. If your responsibilities have expanded significantly, it may be time for a formal review. Start documenting. Track. Additional projects. New responsibilities. Cross-functional work. Leadership duties. Training responsibilities. Process ownership. Build evidence, not emotion. Then schedule a professional conversation. The goal isn't to complain. The goal is alignment. Alignment between your responsibilities, your title, your compensation, and your career path. Final thoughts. Scope creep doesn't happen overnight. It happens one small request at a time. One favor. One exception. One temporary task. Until eventually you're carrying an entirely different role than the one you accepted. That's why professionals must learn the difference between helping and absorbing. Helping occasionally is part of being a great employee. Absorbing endless responsibilities without discussion is not. Your workload deserves visibility. Your contributions deserve recognition. And your role deserves clarity. If you found today's video helpful, make sure to read the full article linked in the description below. You'll also find the workplace boundaries and self-advocacy blueprint in the description if you're ready to strengthen your workplace boundaries, improve your self-advocacy skills, and protect yourself from burnout and workplace exploitation. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.